Hey, it's World. I am back with another video, and today's going to be a fun one because I've got 15 major brands, luxury brands, the big luxury as I like to call them, the Gucci's, the Versace's and whatever, that we are all very well versed in via social medias, and they've been around for quite a while. So I heard this phrase recently, buy once, cry once. That is something that actually really resonated with me and inspired me to do this particular video for you, just because there are a lot of brands out there. And for me, it's not something I probably would apply to my collection just because I am a bag collector and my collection is ever evolving, right? But if you're the type of person that you just want to buy once and cry once, one brand from each particular big luxury brand, one model. This is, in my opinion, you may not agree, in my opinion, these are the ones I would pick. So let's just kind of get right into it. First one, let's start off strong. Hermes. It is an iconic brand, right? When it comes to Hermes, they've been around for decades, and the epitome of classic bags, and one that is going to resonate with you and the one that you're going to add to your collection. There's a whole entire debate out there. Are you a Birkin girl or you're a Kelly girl? I'm gonna say, hands down, I am always going to be a Kelly girl. Yes, I do have a Birkin and I love my Birkins, but if I had to pick, I'm gonna pick the Kelly. One, because it is the original one. The Kelly came out way before the Birkin ever did. And for me, also, when it comes to the Kelly, it is much more functional. The Birkin is only a top handle, right? That's the only way you can wear it. It's kind of a top handle tote. And most complaints are it's too heavy, etc., and it's not very functional. The Kelly is going to be a top handle and it comes with a long strap. Hence, that's why I have put this as the priority. If I were to buy one bag from from Hermes, this is going to be it. Now, I have the size 35, so it is a little bit big. So if ideally, I would love a Kelly 25 or 28 to add to my collection. And if I had to get rid of this one and replace it with a Kelly 25 or 28, I would do it in a heartbeat. Of course, the size 35 is going to be much more budget friendly. It's still thousands and thousands of dollars. I get it. But that's why I wanted to start off and see if I even like the Kelly with the size 35. Again, much more budget friendly compared to the smaller versions. So that is my pick for Hermes. All right, moving on to Chanel, another classic, right? If you think of luxury brands and the classic, yes, the reissue is the original classic, quote unquote, the original one, kind of like the Kelly and Birkin, right? But this has taken its place where this one, if you think of Chanel, this is the bag that you're gonna think of, right? So obviously, if I had to buy once and cry once, I'm gonna pick the classic flap. Now, if this is not something you are vibing with, like you don't like the double flap because it doesn't fit a whole lot, I would say get one of these. It's a vintage one, it's a classic flap, and it's a single flap, right? So either one is fine. I kind of put them into the same category, but if you want the traditional double flap and be quote unquote true to the classics, the double flat is the option to buy. Honestly, if I had to pick between the two, I probably would go with this one all day, every day, just because it fits a lot. It is a fraction of the price of what I got the actual brand new classic double flat, was in terms of pricing. And I'm just, looking at the 24 karat gold. Who doesn't like that, right? And also comes with a functional back flap, right? A back pocket. Try to find a single flap, but if you can find one with a back pocket, that is completely money and clutch for you to have that. Now that we need to have access to our phone at a moment's notice, right? So definitely consider the classic flap from Chanel as your one and only if you had to choose one. All right, so going down the list here, again, you may not agree with all of this, but when I think of Chloe, I think of the Marcy. The staying power of the Marcy has been forever. It is, I want to say, decades old now, right? And it is a staple that you will see season after season when it comes to Chloe. You've seen the Niles, you've seen the Chloe tote, the Woody tote, that's really popular, that has gone up, has gone down, the popularity wise. But when you look at Chloe and you see this bag, the Marcy, you know it is a classic Chloe bag. And I am a big fan of this. And I've talked about my top underrated bags, and you haven't seen that video, definitely go check that out. So I won't go on and on about this because I've got a lot to cover. But with this one, the quality of this bag and the classicness of, you know, Chloe, if you think about it, they're very boho chic, right? And this is what I would say is very boho chic. It is an everyday bag to me. I don't wear out. It's more casual, right? When you think of boho chic, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to take this out to a formal dinner or anything like that. So for me, I do have two of these, one smaller size and this is the regular size. If you have to pick, I would definitely go with the smaller size. Just because it does fit a lot. You can even fit a water bottle in there. But again, check out that top underrated bags, in my opinion, to see more details on that. But this is the one I would pick from Chloe. Okay, moving on to YSL. Now, you may argue that the Lulu or the Puffer or, you know, the classic wallet on chain from YSL are quote unquote the classics. True, but anything I feel like that is this particular silhouette in a rectangular shape and have the YSL logo on it is considered a classic. Now, if you keep going back to, you know, decades before where YSL has a lot of different iconic bags, they've got a lot of it bags. So for me to pick out a bag that I would choose as my only YSL bag, I would choose this one, the Nikki bag, based on the functionality. Now, if you want to get it in various iterations and you want the gold hardware, which is the classic portion of it, I would say go for it. But the Nikki is my preferred bag just because it is a shoulder bag. It can also be a crossbody bag, and it is a very malleable bag, as most like YSL bags, if you think about like the Lulu, it's very puffy, it's very soft. But this one I love to travel with because you can flatten it down to very thin. And it's got a back pocket right here. I got some receipts in here. But also it's very spacious in here, right? I think this is just a very well-rounded bag for you to keep in your collection for years and years to come. Again, it's a very classic silhouette so that you know that in 5 years, 10 years from now, this is not going to look dated because it's classic, but it's got also modern features to it where you can use like the magnets. It's not just like, you know, a hook or whatever. The magnet up here is very strong. And then of course the interior pocket. This is just a very solid bag in my opinion. Okay, moving on over to Fendi. The Fendi, they celebrated their 25 or is it 30-year anniversary when it comes to the Fendi baguette. They have taken off when they revamped this bag because they came out in different colors, different prints, different leathers, as well as sequins. So you see a lot of fun variation to a very classic bag. Fendi has many iconic bags, so to speak, but they have come and go. If I had to pick a second one, like another option for you, for Fendi, I would say the Peekaboo. I think the Peekaboo is such a gorgeous bag. The design is very unique where you can kind of have a slouchy look where you can have a quote unquote peek inside what's inside your bag, right? Into your life, so to speak. That's what they like to say. But if you had to go with a classic one, I would say the baguette is definitely one that is here to stay, right? You've got the original baguette logo, which is again iconic. It's very functional. It's got a top handle and it comes with a shoulder strap, a long shoulder strap. I wish this bag did have a back pocket that would make it, you know, chef's kiss right on top, right? But I think that this is something, if you are going to buy once and cry once, because this is not cheap, right? Get a baguette. The Mamazuka is really popular. That has come and go. There are other Fendi bags that has, you know, rise in popularity and then of course fell, right? The baguette is here to stay. So that is my pick for a classic bag for Fendi. So moving on over to Gucci. Gucci, I don't have any bags with Gucci, but in my opinion, if I were to add a Gucci bag to my collection, I would say, you know, there's the Marmont, but we all know Marmont, the Marmont logo is very in your face, and the trend, if any bag, just talking about trends in general, if it shoots up in popularity, you know it's going to fall very quickly, because especially if there's a flashy logo, the Marmont did exactly that. People are saying that there's a second wind of that, but I think that's going to die pretty quickly in my opinion. So Marmont is definitely not something you want to purchase. What you actually want to take a look at is the Horsebit line. They have done the Horsebit since the beginning, and if I were to pick anything Horsebit, I would pick a very traditional silhouette where it's more rectangular, maybe a hobo bag. I don't know about shoulders. Bags are very like in trend right now, so that might not work 5-10 years from now. But pick like a crossbody or a tote with the Horsebit logo on there or the hardware on there. And I think that is a classic option that they will keep bringing back over and over again and won't look dated. You can also argue that the Gucci bamboo tote might be, or the bamboo handles might be a classic option. And that may be it. That probably would be my second option. But the bamboo is very, very distinctive and very in your face. So that if you were to only buy one bag from Gucci, I don't know if that's one you would want to pick. I would definitely go with the Horsebit. You know, whether it's the shoes and the loafers or just the bag, go with the Horsebit. Moving on over to the iconic bag. Isn't it iconic how they just called it the iconic bag and they don't have any other names for it? But when it comes to Ferragamo, I love Ferragamo. Super underrated. If you haven't checked out Ferragamo, definitely take a look at their quality, the bags and everything else. But for me, my choice is going to be the iconic bag. Call me boring if you want, but you know, when it works, right? This is very similar to the Kelly. I know what I like, right? The top handle, and then of course the long strap where you can shoulder. It's not long enough for you to use it as a crossbody. But when it comes to this silhouette, I feel like it's a very classic, very, you know, not serious bag, but very, you know, formal-ish looking bag. A shoulder bag, having this one as a crossbody might look a little bit ridiculous, right? So again, the iconic logo when it comes to Ferragamo, they launched this, I want to say early 90s or maybe the 80s. I forget. I have a whole entire video I did on that. So definitely check that out. I'll link everything down below for you. But this particular bag, they brought it back and now it's thousands of dollars. This one's a vintage one and you can't really tell if this is a vintage, right? If you find one in really good condition, you could put this up at Saks and just bring your old one next to it. Just like, oh, you might see minute differences, but this is an iconic bag for a reason. So I highly recommend that you can get one of these Ferragamo. The Hug line is a classic option as well, but if you want the true iconic one, go with this particular one. And it's got feet. Look, it's got feet. Can't complain about that. So we're halfway through the list, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so because it does help me out. It's completely at no cost to you. If you filter me down to like your subscribes, that's okay. But definitely come back and watch some of the other videos. I really try to give you my true, honest opinion when it comes to my evolution and my journey through the bags. And for those of you who have, you know, made comments about saying, oh, I can't afford any of these bags. Well, you know, yes, I can afford them today. I do have a full-time job, but honestly, I have a love for bags. And just because you can't buy thousands of dollars of bags doesn't mean you can't appreciate it, right? Over 10 years ago, I spent money on $10 bags. Then I moved up to like, you know, $20 bags, et cetera, et cetera. And now I've made my way to luxury bags, which is also another reason why it inspired me to do this videos, because nobody needs a collection of mine like mine. Obviously, it's not the biggest or the smallest that you've seen on YouTube out here, but if you want to appreciate bags, you can definitely take a look at them. You don't always need to buy these bags, right? So again, coming back to why I decided to do this video, because if you want to have a solid collection, one bag from each of these brands, one and done, right? I think we can all work towards that and, you know, just own pretty things, right? It doesn't hurt to own pretty things in your life. Yes, it is completely unnecessary, but you only live once. That's, again, kind of my model. You only live once. Buy the things you want to buy. Obviously, be very responsible about this, but enough of my blabbering here. But go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. All right, the next one I want to talk about is the Lady Dior or anything from Dior. I feel like the Lady Dior is a classic, and if you haven't seen my video about Lady Dior, my biggest gripe with it, I may add that one back in my collection, probably a newer version just because of the opening. I don't have that with me anymore, but I think the Lady Dior is just such an iconic bag. Is it functional? Probably not. Is it pretty? Absolutely yes. But the new ABC and the design of that, I think might work for me in the future. I'll probably take it slow and try to find the right combination that I want to add to my collection. But anything with the canage, I feel like leather is going to be a classic. Now, if you want to go with a tote version, if you want to go with a canage one that is a crossbody, those are great options. You don't need to buy 6 canage bags, right? So that's pretty much all I have to say about the Lady Dior. If you want to just buy one and done when it comes to Dior in general. All right, so the next one is Louis Vuitton. I went back and forth on this one because Louis Vuitton has done very well in establishing what their classics are in their bag collection. So the one I ended up picking is going to be the Pochette Métis. Yes, it is a newer bag, but I feel like this one will be able to last years to come. It is one of the more flashy bags that I have just because it is in the monogram, right? But in terms of functionality, the hype for this is real. It is a very nice bag and it comes with a crossbody, or some people like to wear a top handle, right? I won't talk too much about this. You've seen a million videos on this, but I would pick this one as my one Louis Vuitton. If you don't want the monogram and something that is very in your face, I would say the On The Go is probably my other pick. That's the one, the two bags that I was kind of going back and forth. Let me just grab it. Oh, the On The Go is another great option if you just want to buy one Louis Vuitton bag and you want to be a little bit more low-key. This is going to be it. Functionality-wise, I love the two straps where you can wear over your shoulder, and of course, the top handle that you can wear with the short straps, right? So I would say Pochette Métis just because I do need a little bit of logos. Not need a little bit of logos, but instead of just more plain bags, I think that is a great option for you to add to your collection. Or if you want to pick the On The Go, which is a much, no, I wouldn't say much. It has a lot of functionality. So the next brand I want to cover is Givenchy. Givenchy has struggled over the years, and I have purchased a Givenchy bag, maybe two. I bought two or three, and I've since then let them go. But if you want to add a Givenchy to your bag and you want something very iconic, go with the Antigona. I would say the new Antigona design, because the biggest gripe I had with that was the straps where the D-rings kept coming off, right? They need to update that. I understand that's like an iconic design that they have, but they need to get rid of that. I talked about the 10 reasons why I let bags go, and that was the reason, like when it comes to the straps and whatever. I'll link that video down below if you want to check it out. That's why. And then of course the zipper opening, it's really hard for me to put my hand in, and then the zipper claws, so to speak, scratches my hand. They've since updated that so that it opens with a magnetic enclosure, and I think that's brilliant, and that actually allows me to consider adding another Antigona back in my life. But definitely go with that one as opposed to any other Antigona bags because they're very trendy. They can't hold a style to save its life for whatever reason. So definitely go check out the Antigona. The next couple brands I want to talk about is going to be Bottega. So I don't have a Bottega in my collection today. I did purchase the crossbody bag where my mom saw it and she's like, I really like it. So of course, when your mom asks for a bag, you give it to her, right? When it comes to Bottega, anything that has the traditional weave is a good option. For me personally, out of the newer ones, even the older ones, right? Like the clutch, the Bottega knot clutch, I think is what they call it. I think it is a perfect option. So the reason why I chose that is because they keep bringing it back, right? The clutch was the hottest thing for a long time, and then it died down and it brought it back again. There's a reason why they brought it back, right? Because it's like a classic that needs to be revamped and they're pushing it. And I think it's a great thing. So that is one I would choose. I think that is a perfect option because if you look at older Bottega bags, the weave does, like the leather on each piece of the weave does wear out and it does not look nice. And it's probably not easy to get fixed. Not like just like, hey, a corner got rubbed off, like the paint came off and you can easily get that repaired. But when the whole entire bags are like very intricate weaves, I don't know how you would, fix that, right? So for you to get one of the clutches, the knot clutches, I think that's a great option because you're not going to use a clutch all the time, right? That's usually for fancy events or a night out where you just use it for a couple hours. So for you to get a weave pattern with the leather and the intricacies of it, if you don't want that to wear out, I wouldn't buy like a big tote bag where you use on a daily basis because that's going to get worn out very quickly. But if you want to take a look at other ones, I think the clicker bag, it is a new design, but the silhouette itself is going to look like it will last you quite a while in terms of decades wide if you want the staying power, right? Then of course there's the Jody. The Jody is a traditional one. I've had two of them. I got rid of it because the designs, it was just very inconvenient. But if you think that the bigger ones, maybe the bigger ones will be easier to use, like the zipper where you have to open and close it, like you literally have to two-hand it, right? So those are a couple options when it comes to Bottega. Let's talk about Prada. Prada nylon. Not a fan, so I'm not going to talk about that. But I would say go with the leather Galleria. Any of those traditional, again, the rectangular shape, or if you want like the crossbody or whatever, the Saffiano leather is going to last you a long time. It's not going to age. You know, I bought a bag that I've since then sold to my friend. That was like, I want to say a 2011 bag. And then now she's wearing it today. It doesn't look dated. It's 2024 and she's rocking that bag and she looks so good with it, right? So get something from the Galleria line or the double curve line, I want to say. I can't keep up with their names, but of course I'm inserting photos so that you can see what styles I'm talking about. So the next brand I want to talk about is Celine. I went back and forth to really like think about what one bag I would buy from Celine again. I love my little mini luggage tote, but I ended up going with the belt bag. It is a Phoebe Philo classic where I think the unique design really takes the cake. So again, you know me, I love my top handles, and of course it comes with a long strap so that you can crossbody this. But I think this is a classic looking bag, but it's also very low key that even if I wear it 10 years from now, I feel like it does not look dated whatsoever. Now, obviously keep your bags in really nice condition. If it's beat up, then yeah, it's gonna look dated, right? Another option is going to be the Triumph logo. But again, that goes back to like the Marmont, right? The Gucci Marmont, where the Triumph logo has been brought back from the old days. It has been updated, but it's really in your face, where the Triumph logo, I've been hearing on social media, people are getting tired of it. There's a reason why people are getting tired of it. If you do like that logo, that would probably be my second option, but I would definitely go back to good old Celine, the old Celine, where you know, the silhouette and the staying power is going to be much more. So I have the belt bag in, this is, I think, the small size. The medium is actually pretty big, and then the small is kind of small. So I go the Pico. Is it the Pico? One of those. This is going to be the one functional size that I would particularly go with. That's Celine for you. All right, talking about Versace. I don't have a Versace bag, but if I were to purchase, again, one and done, buy once, cry once when it comes to Versace, do not buy retail. They drop in value so fast and so quickly. But if you were to get a particular one from Versace, I would go with the Greca line. Don't go with the Medusa logo, because that, again, is very in your face, very similar to, you know, the Triumph logo from Celine. Get the Greca line. The Greek design, I don't know, I'm totally butchering this, like the Greek design. Just call it the when you look at it, you're like, oh, that looks Greek to me, right? That particular design, I think, has a lot more staying power than the Medusa head. So I probably would go with the crossbody because I think, again, it's a very traditional silhouette. It can be very fancy to a night out dinner, or if you're just running errands, I think that's a great option. And when it comes to Versace, you do want a little bit of flair, and that's what they're all about, right? So if you want to go with a tote bag, if you want to go with a crossbody or a clutch or whatever, I think these are great options for you to add to your collection. Avoid the Medusa head. All right, so let's wrap things up with Burberry. I think that's 15 brands I talked about. When it comes to Burberry, again, I feel like they've gone through so many iterations of what their styles are, depending on the creative director. But if you know, when you think of Burberry, what do you think? Novacek, right? So if you want to get a Novacek piece, I think go with like the more low-key ones, so that, again, the staying power is going to last you a decade, 2 decades from now. So I picked a couple of them. I'll insert screenshots for you. I think the totes are great. I think, you know, if you want a bucket bag, those are great options as well. But just go for the Novacek that is not super busy. Bigger patterns are probably going to look a little bit easier on the eye, where you're not just like trying to focus on where to look on the bag, and it just looks kind of like too busy and too in your face, right? I used to love Burberry. I owned a couple of them. Again, I'll link videos where I do feature my Burberry pieces, but I've since then let them go. I have really no desire to add any Burberry to my collection, but if I were to, probably a bigger Novacek one would be the choice. So I rambled on about purses and what to get, what not to get. So I really hope that this was helpful. Buy once, cry once. Do not need 16 different bags from every, brand out there if you're not looking to explode your purse collection. But I hope this gives you some guidance and, hear a little bit about my opinions and why I pick specific bags for each of these brands. Life is hard. I want to help you save time and money so that you can somehow adult easier and hopefully lessen retail. I'll see y'all next time.